All right, what's going on? Back at it, Saturday special. Today we are going to do a little bit of shotcrete. So I'm going to take Ian's pump out today. He's got the TK60HP. Way better for pumping shotcrete than our VS70, which is the one I'm normally running in our videos. So I'm going to take his rig out for the day. Probably get frustrated because he stores everything differently from what I do, which is why I don't like taking out machines that are somewhat foreign to me or that I haven't run in a while. But that's okay, we'll persevere. So this is the only pump out today. Big boys are sitting in the shop there behind the bay doors. Everything else is parked. Kind of like a chill little summer Saturday, imagine that. So what I'm going to do to start off with here, I'll do this ahead of time before I get to the site, just so I'm not rushing once I'm there. I'm absolutely going to dust and cake the crap out of this in bentonite. The hopper, I should say. Dust and cake the crap out of the hopper with bentonite. Now this one ain't too super spiffy to begin with. It works a lot better if you're working with a nice clean metal surface to start with. This one is okay at best. So what we're going to do here, fire up our water, agua, H2O, grab our hose. Once I figure out how to retrieve the hose from its current location. Excellent. Now, important step with this is if you're somebody who normally uses oil on the hopper, if you're going to do the bentonite dusting, you want to start with a clean dry hopper. So don't use oil to begin with, otherwise the bentonite's not going to stick to it because it's covered in oil, and oil is slippery. And yeah, you see where I'm going with this, right? So we're just going to mist this down real good, just like so. I grab my bentonite here. We'll give this a little mist to turn it into mud. Kind of like so. And we'll go for a second coat. Camera back in the mouth here. And one more coat of water. Pretty happy with this. I might give her one more little dusting in the corner there. And one more little mist. I'm pretty happy with that. And you'll see what we have created is, I don't want to disturb it too much, a layer of mud around the whole hopper. So once we do or get pouring, the critical thing, no matter how tempted you are, don't rinse this off mid-pour. Don't let the ready mix drivers rinse it off mid-pour. Just let it get ugly. Let it cake up. Let it get ugly. At day's end, it's going to look like a bomb went off in here. But once you start smacking the shotcrete, smacking the sides down, you're going to find it's all going to peel off the sides. The minute you rinse that off, next load comes in and you basically put all your hard work to waste, right? So I might do a little more dusting across this back wall here too, because that's a pretty common area of buildup. Another little mist. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's a lot of bentonite. Well, it is, but that's probably about $1.25 worth of bentonite powder, if not less. So we just get it all greased up with that. Normally I'll do the bucket of dirt as well. We're gonna wash out on site at this job, so I'm not too worried about the dirt because it's going to be 2 loads, bang, 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 pretty quick. We don't have any dirt in our paved yard here. I'm sure you could source some, but unless I find the holy grail of dirt when we get to site, I'm pretty confident just using the bentonite here today. One more little mist. The key is to make sure that you get it wet so that it's greasy and not powdery, right? Just like so. You know what, while we're here, let's go full tilt. All right. Just like that, we are ready for war. We are ready to do battle with the concrete, or something like that. All right, so often get asked what type of bentonite we use and where we source it from. We use this exact brand. Maybe there's a better look there. And we get that from a local drilling supply company. We're paying between $10 to $15 Canadian per bag. So when you figure that each one of these 50-pound bags is going to give you at least 30 primes, you know, cost per prime, way cheaper than trying to use slick pack, cement powder, mortar mix, whatever. Yes, the disadvantage to this stuff is it absolutely cannot make its way into the pore area because it's mud. It will contaminate the concrete. So definitely a disadvantage there. But as far as for priming effectiveness, if you haven't figured out already, I'm a huge proponent of bentonite. I personally don't think anything actually works better aside from ordering a meter or grout from the ready mix plant. I might regret making that statement. There's gonna be a bunch of guys that are gonna chime in and you know, with their preferred methods as well. But for what we do here with our mixes, bentonite is definitely king, not only from a cost standpoint but from a performance standpoint as well. So that's my 2 cents. The other thing with bentonite is I can just store it on a little on the truck in a little container like this. Once I get the lid off, a little container like this, and that container full, I got enough material there to prime out probably 10 to 15 times. So I'm not trying to store sacks of cement powder or mortar mix on the truck and inevitably they bust open every now and again and make a giant mess everywhere. Just logistically, it's just, yeah, so much easier for what we do. Before I roll out here, remember what I said at the start of the video about running somebody else's rig, and it can be a little frustrating trying to figure out where everything is? I want everybody in the comments today, we're gonna rib Ian. Ian, what is going on here, man? How can you live like this, bro? Oh my God. We got stuff everywhere. If we get a little break between trucks on site, maybe we'll do Ian a little solid and we'll get all this sorted out. But yeah, I think they call that a dog's breakfast. Is that the right term? What would you call it? All right, here we go, on site, and so much for bentonite. The boys here got their own Slick Willie. Their primer, their line. I'm just a spectator, right? What do you think? Does it work every time? It does. 90% of the time it works every time. You toss it in now? Sweet. Oh, here, I'll be the funnel guy. I'm pretty good at that. So what do you do? Just one pack, 5 gallons of water, chuck her in?
Like quarter of a pack.
Quarter of a pack?
A full pack is too much.
Which brand do you use? Actual Slick Willy?
Slick Willy,
like Slick Willy 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I checked the bag, but this is a lot better than the Prime stuff. There's another brand.
There's like 20 different ones now.
Yeah, but this Slick Willy gets slimy with half a bag. I'd say is even too much.
So do you find the other stuff is just too thin and it segregates it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's the issue I've had.
I'll throw a full bag of the other stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's called Prime.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's garbage.
That's always been my issue through rubber hose using the slime primer is segregation. Shotcrete's a little more forgiving because there's not as much stone in it. So we're going down about what, 50 feet?
Yeah, 40 feet.
40 feet down, 200 feet of hose. Okay, all right. All right, I found the Prime pack. It is Slick Willy too. I actually have a bunch of this stuff stashed at the yard. So we'll see how this goes here. These guys are pretty confident in it. I've had poor results, but their line, our pump, so I'm just gonna do what I'm told here. So I'm going 5 to 4 elbow, 4 to 3 short taper, 3 to 2 reducer beyond that, and I'm all double chained up here. Conforms 150 bar clamps, forged clamps on the back end, and safety mat in place because we love our mixer drivers. And yeah, once mud gets here, I'll pump a stroke or two out into my little tote here, and then I'll hook their hose up. By the time it gets through the material cylinders and all the reducers, usually the first little bit, it's a little bit dry, so I don't want that to be my my prime mud that's right up against the Slick Willy. I want to give the Slick Willy every possible advantage we can here. Hopper's looking good, hopper's looking muddy, hopper's looking ready. Look what's here. Just gonna run up here and top up my water box. Just want to cover the first couple inches of those chrome rods. You don't want it full all the way to the back, because then it can get sucked in through your chevron seals and contaminate your oil. All right, ready to go.
Might need water, we'll see.
I won't get you on camera just in case it slumps back.
I don't mind. Should be okay.
Pretty good. Wonderful. All right. Take a shot. Story of that, I'll tell you. Ready to go, here we go. It's all good, the chains will hold it up anyhow. Okay. like that they're priming out down there without the nozzle on. So we're not trying to prime through that little 1.5-inch rubber tip at the nozzle. Come on, Slick Willie, let's see what you got. Oh my God, it might actually work. Just like that, we are through. Slick Willie. Success. All right, pumping away. Smooth sailing so far here. So you can see they got their hose tied off there from the guardrail. It is jumping around a lot at the start of that first hose. When we get a break here, I have a safety sling. I'm going to put a safety sling on between my 4 to 3 reducer and that hose, as such that if the hose end were to fail or the coupling were to fail, the sling will keep it from whipping around. So we're going to do that as soon as we get a stoppage here. I'm actually surprised at how hard this thing is working. Pushing nearly 3,000 psi. I mean, I guess it is 200 feet of hose, and we're pumping it quite dry. But yeah, I sure am glad I didn't bring the VS70 with the larger 7-inch material cylinders. Reason being, reducing down from a 7-inch material cylinder to a 2-inch hose, there's a lot more back pressure than there is reducing from the 6-inch cylinder, which is on this machine, down to a 2-inch hose. It's just much more efficient. Not to mention this machine makes more pressure to begin with too. So I think the VS70 would have got this done, but she'd be riding the fine threshold of where she kind of gives up and maxes out. So we probably just have to pour it a little bit wetter. All right, well, we got our safety sling on. Adversity led to the installation of the safety sling. We had a plug in that 3 to 2 reducer, and we'll go over that in a minute, what exactly was going on there. But we had to change out to a couple longer reducers, the backup reducers. I'll explain why in a minute here when we get a little break. Well, that's smart. They use the excavator to help drag the hose. Why didn't I think of that? Actually, I think we have done that in one of my previous videos a long time ago. But yeah, the way they excavate this is they cut out little segments. They'll shotcrete those in, and then the segments in between, they'll dig those out the next day, shotcrete them at day's end, and they carry on down that way. So they're not excavating a whole run of wall at once and risking having the whole thing collapse in. So they alternate all the way around the hole. It's almost like teeth. Dig some teeth, spray them in. Dig out the remaining teeth, spray it in. Go down another level, and so on and so forth. It's all engineered. What's the term? It's above my pay grade. That's the term. Probably down to the last meter or two on the first truck here, and our second truck is right around the corner, so we'll just pump this guy right out. That is hard work being down below there, especially when you get into the winter time and it's so super muddy and whatnot. A little bit easier this time of year, but still grueling physical work. Just about empty. You see it just clinging on to the last couple fins there. See it all stuck to the fins up there. You'll have to wind this thing right out to get that last bit to come off. And even then it still might not let go. That's it. Normally I pump my hopper down much lower than this and knock the sides in a little bit. But our next load is right here. We're going to pump it off real quick. I'm not too concerned about buildup, but on a long day, shooting like a pool or a water feature or something, hopper management becomes critical. But remember, we're all dusted up in bentonite, so like all that kind of stuff, I'm just going to leave it. Do not rinse it off, leave it. Like I said, let it get ugly and you'll see come washout time, it'll all peel right off of there. Alright, last couple segments here. These guys are just humming along at a rapid pace. Easy Saturday. That's a wrap. We are done. So they are going to break off of that first hose and they're going to blow their gear out down in the hole, and they want me to pump as much as I can out through that first hose just onto the ground and minimize how much goes into the pan here. So not the way I would normally do it, but it'll work just fine. So that's what we're going to do. I'll pump it down as low as I can, and I'll knock my sides in and whatnot, flood the hopper out with water, and hopper's pretty full here, but by the time he scrapes his chute out and everything else, it's pretty tough to get it low with this stuff because it's so darn sticky. So he's gonna break that apart and he'll throw his ball in and blow out. So when they give me the word, I'll pump everything else out. Am I okay to pump out, or do you want somebody on the end of the hose?
Sorry?
Am I okay to pump out now, or do you want somebody on the end of the hose? Just let it go?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Put our lid down, pump down as much as we can. Then I'll come back and knock the sides in, pump some more. Then I'll flood the hopper out with water. I'm sucking air right now. Take a few strokes. Get a little puff of air out of the end of that hose. There's the wet stuff. I'll go back and knock my sides in. Good. Alright, I'll knock my sides in here. Hopper's been pumped down.
Ready for the tank?
No, leave that for now. Lid down, we'll pump a few more strokes. Alright, agitator off, and I'm absolutely going to flood this thing out, and we'll just pump it through. Pump it all down into the hole. There's the benefit of the bentonite doing its thing. I always make sure to have my agitator off when I'm doing this. Prevents it from segregating in the line. The key is you can't wussy foot it and add just a little bit of water. You gotta fully commit. It's all or nothing. If you add just a little bit of water, you'll get segregation. You need a nice flush of water to push that concrete out. Solid flush of water. We'll rinse all our sides down too. Look at that bentonite do its thing. Works even better if you have a pressure washer. This guy's got water on site, so I'm going to borrow his hose. Amazing pressure too. Woohoo! Getting spoiled today. Hopper is nice and full of water. Pump this through. Or try to. No, it'll work. Boom! Water wash. Sorry, Mr. Excavator Bucket. Luckily, you spend your life in dirt, and it's not going to be a big deal that you got a little bit of character enhancement, we'll call that. Good. Let's see what we got in the hopper now. beautiful thing. Just like that. Normally what I would do with Shotcrete, normally I would flip this elbow and reduce her up, and I have a 3-inch wall hook I put on, and I would pound it through just to scrub my S-tube clean. Shotcrete being as sticky as it is, fast setting, not a lot of aggregate, it has very little self-cleaning action to it, and it tends to build up in the S-tube, especially on these Putzmeister pumps. They've got a shorter S-tube with a kind of a nasty contour to it. Something like a Reed or a Western Warrior, they have a much longer tube. It's a lot more favorable for doing this kind of work. Guys that do Shotcrete, feel free to chime in. What do you think between the Putzmeister, even a Schwing with a rock valve versus like a Reed or a Western Warrior? Come washout time, what do you find? And even just general performance for pumping Shotcrete, how do they do? The Schwing I'm really curious about because we really don't have many or any in our area. So I've never really heard too much feedback firsthand. But how do the Schwing pumps do with Shotcrete? Like a little SP500. I know they have a SP1000 HP now, which I'm sure is probably great. But I'm thinking more like the 500s and the 750-15. How do they do with Shotcrete? Now let me know. I'm gonna break this stuff apart and wash out now. So as you can see, the bentonite does in fact work. I promised you it will work. You can see the layer of mud that it leaves. And you do have to work it a bit with the water. But where the real benefit is when you get a job where you've got hardened buildup around the hopper. It keeps it from adhering to the metal. A couple of whacks with the washout bar and it falls right out. Using bentonite for every job. Normally jobs, your quick easy jobs would be a quick easy washout. The bentonite can actually make that more work because it's almost like an adhesive for the concrete to an extent. If that makes any sense. I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but you can see it's that layer of mud right there. Just that if you got a pressure washer, oh, you're way ahead of the game. Alright, most important thing with Shotcrete, grease, grease, grease. So now that we're done our washout, we're going to run a grease cycle here. Let that run through as it strokes over. So auto grease is working away. With a Shotcrete, because all the fines and all the pressure, it gets in all the seals, agitators, seals, large bearing, small bearing. And it's got silica in it too, which is highly abrasive. It's like little beads of glass or shards of glass. Even though it's a fine mix with a little rock, it's heavy duty stuff in terms of wear and tear on your machine. So you need to grease, 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 push all that stuff out at the end of the job. If you miss even one greasing and leave that stuff in there and give it a chance to harden, you're doomed and in for a bill of potentially thousands of dollars. So let that greaser run its cycle, and I'm actually going to do one more. I'll double up on them just to see it coming out all the seals and whatnot. All right, here we are back at the yard. Had to rush out of the site there. The guys were in a hurry to get on with their Saturday, which is understandable. So what I'm going to do back here, I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to stick my phone in the S-tube there, and then I'll pull it out and look at the video footage, and I'll see how the tube looks. All right, let's see what we got in here. Let's see how this looks. All right, let's see what we got in here. A little bit of sand in the bottom there and a couple of stones. That's pretty good. That's not anything that's going to be cause for concern, shall we say. But I'm gonna fire this thing up and do another grease cycle anyhow. Like I was saying on site, it's so critical when doing Shotcrete to get lots of grease. You can see it coming out of the large bearing, coming out of the auger seal there. A little bit coming through on that side. I'll do one more cycle, make sure we get grease through there and push out any bit of sediment that could be remaining in any of those seals. At the same time, I'll stroke it in reverse a bit. We got a pressure washer back at the yard here. I'll give her one more little spray in there just to get that sand out of there. But that is the best way to check the tube. The absolute best way would be get like a bore scope or a mechanic's camera on the flexible wand and put that in there every time. Just to check it. Like I said, the Putzmeister, it's got a shorter tube. It's got a really drastic kind of curve to it. Makes it tough to clean. If you do end up with hardened buildup in there, it makes it extremely difficult to chip it out. So you absolutely want to make sure, especially when doing Shotcrete, that tube is clean at day's end. Like I said, ways to avoid it. I'll have my elbow assembly on here and a 90-degree elbow, and I'll pound it through, cycle it through real hard to make sure to scrub out as best as I can any buildup that may be in the tube. The other thing I'll do when I'm washing out, if I have to travel to wash out, I'll either cycle the stuff again, or at least before I dump my hopper, I'll take a couple strokes in forward to push anything out of the S-tube that may be stiffening up in there, rather than trying to break it down with just water pressure. Because like I said, it's really tough to get in there, really tough to angle that water in properly to get that tube clean. It's kind of the Achilles heel for doing Shotcrete with these pumps, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll flash this thing up, another grease cycle, quick little blast with the pressure washer. Pretty good. We've got some grease coming through on both sides. Grease coming through the bottom of the right there, large bearing. All right, that makes me happy. What I was explaining there earlier about why this machine is better for Shotcrete than our VS70 Putzmeister, the material cylinders where the concrete feeds into, on this machine they're a 6-inch, and they reduce from 6-inch to a 5-inch outlet. On our VS70, it's a 7-inch barrel, reduces from 7-inch at the mouth of that opening there for the material cylinder down to 5-inch. So you've got 2 inches of reduction from material cylinder to outlet. Then we reduced further down to 2-inch. But that added inch of reduction in that relatively short span is a lot less efficient, and it causes funny things, a lot of turbulence, a lot of buildup. It tends to cake up in the S-tube, cake up at the ends of material cylinders a lot more than it does on this machine. So machines that run a 6-inch material cylinder would be like most of the Reed Shotcrete machines, most of the Western Warrior Shotcrete machines, if not all of them. Putzmeister TK50, TK60, TK40, those are all a 6-inch machine. Same with like a Schwing, SP500, SP750-15, SP1000 HP. All the machines that are designed for Shotcrete will have a 6-inch delivery cylinder or smaller. Can you do it with a machine with a 7-inch material cylinder? Yes, you can. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. Slumps become a lot more critical. You really got to watch the slump. They're a lot more prone to build up, things like that. So 6-inch or smaller is what you want for doing Shotcrete. This machine is awesome for Shotcrete. TK50, like what Darren at Frontenberger just got, also a pretty decent Shotcrete machine. Caleb, Concrete Pumping Services, same pump as this, awesome Shotcrete machine. Jeff's pump, Jeff over at Muddy Feet with the SP500, also a decent Shotcrete machine, or should be. Like I said, it's got a rock valve. I don't know how they deal with the Shotcrete, if they're any better or worse than an S-tube. Like I said, anybody that's using one for Shotcrete, please chime in. But yeah, TK60HP Putzmeister, very good Shotcrete machine. That being said, if I was doing Shotcrete every day of the week, I might probably lean towards a Reed or a Western Warrior. Those seem to be the ultimate Shotcrete beasts. But guys that do a lot of Shotcrete, that do it all the time, that have tried all the machines, like I said, please chime in. I'd like to know your thoughts. We do Shotcrete once in a while, a couple days a week. We're by no means the expert or the authority on Shotcreting. So I'd like to hear opinions from guys who are extremely well versed on this stuff. All right, so back to that reducer. The reducer I was talking about. Yeah, the flange on it, for one, is incorrectly machined, so the outer diameter is too large. Hence why, to get a 2-inch clamp on this thing, you have to absolutely beat the crap out of it. The other thing, if you can see this or not, if you can see in there, let's try and get this light. Either a piece of steel is stuck in there, or the casting has somehow blistered. And see that hunk of metal that's inside there? To me, it looks like casting flash. So I'm gonna try and smack that out of there with the metal bar. I don't think it's gonna work. Let's see here. But this is otherwise a brand new reducer. So it is flawed. No wonder it plugged. Let's see if we can smash that out. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'll give it a try. Wow, whatever it is in there. Holy. Okay, well, yeah, that is 100% an issue with the casting. Oh, you can see that pretty good now, I think. Yeah, wow. And these are the pieces that came out. So that will probably burn out of there. Could it cut or damage a hose? Absolutely. Between that and the fact that the end is machined wrong, it's too bad. It's otherwise a nice super heavy duty reducer. We got these ages ago. Somebody was going out of business. I guess maybe now we know why. We had a pallet of mix and match reducers. That's where this came from. So for these combined reasons, this thing is going in the scrap pile. Can buy a brand new reducer. Where's the scrap pile these days? I think this is it right here. Can buy a brand new 3-2 for about 120 bucks. So I ain't taking any chances. There's just too much going on there. That's why I like buying stuff from Conforms or Alliance. It comes with pressure tags, pressure ratings. If you ever have an issue with it, you have a reputable company behind you. When you're buying the bargain bin stuff or flavor of the day from overseas, from whoever hits you up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, stuff blows apart and there's damage, or God forbid somebody's hurt. If you think any of these people got your back, they will be gone so fast. So yeah, pro tip of the day, buy your stuff from reputable vendors. I don't care what brand it is, just buy it from people that are reputable and will be able to support you or back the product if there is an issue, is what I should say. So, and when you know what, we got a brand new one in the crate here. Of course it was at the very bottom, of course it was. But yeah, brand new 3-inch to 2-inch AP, so that'll be in all parts from Alliance. It's got the pressure rating on there, the working pressure, and yeah, a quality piece. So we'll throw this one on the pump and replace that what do they call it? Harbor Freight Special. We'll call it Harbor Freight Special. Wish, yeah, wish.com special, that's what it was. There you go, Ian. Don't say I didn't do anything for you. One brand new reducer. Anyhow, that'll be it for today. Just a quick little Shotcrete job, nothing fancy. That structural stuff is pretty straightforward. It's not the challenge that doing pools or water features is, in terms of just that you know, they can be slow and a little bit more technical. But yeah, you know how it goes. Whew, sweating out here. Like, share, subscribe, ×3, over and out. And we don't just throw it in the pile, we X it out, so somebody doesn't go and grab it thinking they scored a brand new reducer. I should think that would make it pretty obvious that it's junk. That's all the stuff that came off for 58. I had that video a while back where the pipe popped on it. We had to repair it on site. New pipe kit. We redid the whole boom on it. The deck pipe was actually still in really good shape, so that's the deck pipe that's still remaining in here, but the whole boom has been repiped